Hey man, it's the Ace Michaels Show, that's for sure. My name is Ace Michaels, not Ace Vegas. And we are here live today with Johnny Nevada. Johnny Nevada is are you the owner, the editor?
I'm the starting quarterback.
The starting quarterback at the Talk of Las Vegas, which is a great show, which is it a spinoff from the Talk of San Diego?
It is indeed, yeah.
Excellent. Well, see, I know a little something about a little something. Welcome to the show. Hey, listen, we're going to have a good time today. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. You know, I appreciate that. If you ever want to be on the show, you can. Just email us. Be on the buzz. See how I say it sexy.
Hey, if I made it, anybody can.
Be on the buzz at yahoo.com. Or you can call us. You can call us 702-540-3498. You can call and be on the show. And that's what's up. We're here with Johnny. Johnny, what's happening, my brother?
You tell me. Nothing's shaking but the leaves on the trees.
As I get older, I just take every day as a gift. You know,
Nobody's promised tomorrow.
Yeah, I try not to understand it all. I just go, you know what? Hey, man, it is what it is.
Exactly.
So tell me about the Talk of Vegas. So the Talk of Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Tell me about it.
Well, I was here in 2006 to 2011, and I started doing a radio show in 2010. And that was called Date Night in Vegas. It had nothing to do with dates. It was on Friday nights.
Okay.
And it was when the movie Date Night came out.
Okay.
And so I like to have names of shows that people say, oh, I've heard of that show. No, they probably haven't heard of the show, but they've heard a part of the title of the show.
Sure.
So I was doing that and did that for about 8 months on KLAV 1230 on your AM dial. And I had started on the internet. They have the internet channel, which is now defunct, from what I understand. And I did that for a month or so, and the station manager came up and they said, hey, you know what? We really like your show. How would you like to go on the AM dial and do the show there? Well, for me, all I heard was, how would you like to pitch for the Yankees, you know?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, we could do that. They said, well, we got a time slot, 9 o'clock Friday night. And I say, fine. So I'm doing the show in the studio, 9 o'clock Fridays, and I see this stuff in the corner like you have here, and I go, what's all that? And they said, oh, that's for our remote. And I go, And they said, yeah, we do that if we want to do remote shows. Well, I don't want to do stuff in the studio. I want to go and do. So I call up restaurants and I say, hey, we got this show called Date Night in Vegas. Would you like to come out there? Would you like us to come out and do the show? They say, we'd love to. Well, it's going to cost you X amount of money. They said, not a problem. And I had a producer that lined up all the guests. So all I had to do was show up, set up the equipment, interview the people, break it down. There you go.
And there you go.
And so
is this an example of, like, as happens many times in Hollywood, you kind of fail upwards? Like somebody goes, well, hey, nobody's using the van and the camera. You can turn that into whatever you want. And then you go turn it into a successful show. Right? Is that kind of how that worked out?
Well, I moved back to San Diego.
Nice.
And I found that radio airtime in San Diego was outrageous compared to what it was in Las Vegas.
Sure.
So I decided I was already doing YouTube videos. So now instead of the Date Night in Vegas, now it's called The Talk of San Diego. And there again, the name generic, where people say, oh, I've heard of that show. Well, you've heard of The Talk, but you haven't heard of The Talk of Las Vegas.
Sure.
Or The Talk of San Diego. And so I called one of the community access providers, and I said, hey, you know, I'd like to put some stuff on some of your channels. Do you need producers? And they said, yeah, we need producers because we just took over for the county. And so now we're on Cox Cable, we're on T-Mobile, or we're on AT&T, and they said what you need is 6 half-hour episodes on video. Do you have 6 half-hour videos? And I said, yeah, I have 6 half-hour videos. And they said, well, we need it 28:30, and put them on a DVD with the thing at the beginning and the thing at the end, this and that. I said, okay. Call up a young lady that I know. I said, hey, you like the Titanic? She goes, I'd love the Titanic. I said, would you like to pay for the Titanic, or would you like to go see it for free? And she says, well, I want to see it for free.
Sure.
Call up the Titanic. I say, hey, this is Johnny. I got a show. It's called The Talk of San Diego. We'd love to come down. Come on down. So we shoot the show. There's a half an hour. So then I get done with that and I say, hey, do you like to fly? She says, I love to fly. I call up the flight school. I go, hey, we got this show. We'd love to come down. Next thing you know, I got this 18-year-old girl flying an airplane and I'm in the back making a video. So it didn't take long for me to put 6 episodes together. Put those 6 episodes together, and then it was just adding to those. But it was 2 o'clock on Tuesdays, Cox Cable, and I said, how do I get on the other channels? And they said, well, there's Time Warner. Call them up, tell them the same thing. I already had the disc, so I just had to burn another copy, gave it to them. So I had my show on just about every cable outlet in San Diego, which reached 3 million people. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't do advertising. I'd say, hey, here we are here, but you couldn't say, hey, come on down, 2 for 1, this and that. And I like to advertise because you get a lot of free stuff.
Sure.
And so I switched over from community access mostly to YouTube. I was doing YouTube videos. Ran into a young lady that you're familiar with, that you've talked to, Misha. Mm-hmm. She says, you need a producer. I said, fine, I'll take a producer. And so at that time, I had 200 friends. You know how you tell your friends on Facebook is you call them up or you send a message, hey, I'm moving this weekend. You'll find out how many friends you have.
Right. Or try to borrow money and then you'll see how loyal the Facebook
just
friends
moving
are.
is enough.
Exactly.
And so from there, now I've got over 3,400 friends. And I had one Facebook platform and one YouTube platform. And within 2 years' time, I have probably 16 different Facebooks that we're on. And so every time I talk to her, she says, oh, guess what? We're on another. And we get these likes and we get views and we get impressions over my head. I do video. That's all I do, video and editing. I don't know about the social media. I don't care what she does. It's just as long as when I look at it, oh, hey, we have 250 views on this video. So that's what I was doing in San Diego.
But now, Johnny, clearly something motivated you to want to do this. Like okay, up until this point, what qualified you to do this as a living? Like, had you done it before?
Well, it's a nonprofit. It didn't start out that way.
Sure.
That's what it is now.
Sure.
But ever since I was a kid, loved radio, loved TV. There was a TV show, I'm drawing a blank at the name of it, but it was 2 guys that were on the radio. It was a radio show about a TV show. It was a TV show about a radio show. It was the morning radio show, and it showed the behind the scenes. And I said, man, I love that. And it's just in my blood. I listen to the radio, and a guy's on there and goes, hey, you like the Beatles? Give us a call. Well, when he's on the radio, it's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. He's talking to me. I'm talking to him.
Sure.
So you saw the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Right at the beginning, he's laying in bed, the radio goes off, and he says, hey, it's 72 degrees at O'Hare Airport. Well, that guy's name is Fred Winston, and he was in Chicago, and I was working nights. I'd get off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he was working from 6 to 10 in the morning, and I'd call, and he'd say, hey, you like the Beatles? Yeah, give us a call. So I started calling him, and nobody else was calling in at that early in the time. Sure. So I started doing goofy characters. We did Mom's Kitchen. We did the Swami. We did the Farm Report. And then he had me come in the studio, and we were recording all this stuff, and it was great. We had a ball in more ways than one, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you, but that's okay. I feel like I probably shouldn't know.
We adjusted our minds a little bit.
Okay.
There you go. And so I did that for a number of years. Then I moved.
What does that got to do with the story, man?
Man, exactly, man. So then I moved down to Dallas. It's the same thing. This guy's down there. Let's go. Bull Roberts. He's on Q102, or was on Q102. Same thing. You like the Beatles? Hey, give us a call. I give him a call, and now I'm giving the joke of the day. You know, and I call up, and I give a maniacal laughter. It's stupid, dirty jokes, and they hang up on me every time. Sure. I could call them up 30 years ago. I was doing that. I could call them up now and give them the little, I had a whistle that I'd blow, and they go, oh my God, it's him. Hang up on him. Then I moved to San Diego. I found radio stations there that, hey, give us a call. I'd give them a call. I'd be the goofy guy on the radio on calling in.
Sure.
Then I moved to Hawaii. Same thing. Hilo, Hawaii. This guy on the radio now, his name is DC in the Morning. Great guy, still on the radio. Same thing. Hey, you like the Beatles? Give us a call. Next thing you know, I tell them what I'm doing. Come on in, we're doing.
Come on in,
But the thing is that every station manager at every one of those stations, they go, why is he on the air? Why? I just irritating the masses. That's our slogan for the show. See how many people we can irritate. So that was basically how I got started. Just being in radio, and then when I find out I can be on TV, I was working with doing a video, and I was in a barter society. And a guy called me up. The guy that owns the barter, his name is Stan Vaughn, and I don't know if he's doing it anymore. But he called me up. He says, Johnny. He says, I wonder if you could make a video for me. He says, I don't know about if you know it or not, but I'm a world-class chess master. And you know how popular poker is in Las Vegas. I want chess to be just as popular. I said, fantastic. He says, I'm going to do something at the Riviera Hotel, the Meridian Room, 9 o'clock on Monday morning. I invited the newspapers, the radio, TV, everybody in the media to come down there and cover this event. I said, fine, I'll be there. So I get there about 8:45, the Meridian Room, set up all my stuff. There's Stan. He's got all his paraphernalia, the big chess pieces, the flags, the Russian, all of that paraphernalia.
Okay.
There's Stan. There's Stan's wife's girlfriend, and a gentleman I didn't know, but now I do. His name was John Donovan. And John and Stan were up at the dais, and that's it. There were 3 people in the audience, me, the wife, and the girlfriend, Stan, and John Donovan.
Huh.
And he looks at his watch, and he goes, well, it's 9 o'clock. John Donovan gets up there, and he goes, hey, I'm John Donovan. I'm the station manager for WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk. And I had Stan Vaughn on the show a couple of weeks, and he's talking about the politics and all of this that has to do with chess, and it was so fascinating. The lights just lit up. Everybody's calling in. And when he told me he was putting on this press conference and he wanted me to introduce him, I jumped at the chance. And with that being said, here's Stan Vaughn. And Stan gets up there, and he's talking to basically an empty room for 20 minutes on the politics of chess. And he gets all done, and he walks off stage like this. So I get home and I start editing the video. And I felt bad for the guy. There's only 3 people in the audience. So I go online, check out sound effects. Whoop, applause. Okay, applause.
Nice.
So now when I edit, okay, and here's John Donovan. Woo-hoo, hey, woo-hoo. And with that, here's Stan Vaughn. Woo-hoo, everybody's crazy and everything. It gives the thing. Oh, okay, fine. So now I call up John Donovan and say, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I was at the thing yesterday. He goes, yeah, you're the guy with the video camera, right? I go, yeah, I was. I said, the video is ready. It's on YouTube, and you can check it out. It's on YouTube.
Right.
And I says, check it out, see what you think. He called me back. He says, man, I forgot how many people were there. I said, yeah, don't you remember the fire marshal? He was keeping people in line.
Right.
He said, you know, you do these videos, and I do the the radio show. I think we should put them together. Maybe we can make some money out of it. I say, fantastic. So he says, I broadcast from a gentleman named John Stewart. No, not that John Stewart.
Right.
Okay? There's another John Stewart here in Las Vegas, and he does a radio TV show. But he was doing it he's got a nice ranch just south of Vegas.
Nice.
And he allowed John Donovan to do his show in a ranch house, just like you'd see in Bonanza. You know.
Sure.
But there were
like the Skywalker Ranch that George Lucas uses.
But there were horses right on the other side of the wall are horses.
Right.
And with horses is
horse manure
and smell.
Right.
So people go, oh, you know. So he was doing that. We'd set up the equipment on Tuesday and everything. And I says, you know, I'd really like to have a radio show because I've got the background. And, well, we'll get to that. You know. Well, we never got to that. And so one day I was at a trade show like you put on, and KLAV was there, and they had a booth set up, and I go, what are you guys doing here? They said, well, we're pitching internet radio. They said, if you'd like to be on the show, we have the studio, we'll give you an hour of time, and we give you an hour of production time to do commercials and the like. Right. I said, well, this is a lot better than, you know, just helping this guy set up.
Right.
I said, how much does it cost? They said, $75 an hour. I said, well, I've got enough sponsors to pay for that.
Right.
They said, fantastic. So that's when I started doing my own show called A to Z in Vegas. Covers anything. Anything and everything falls in there. And like I say, 2-3 weeks into the show, they said, "Man, we like what you're doing. How would you like to go on the AM dial?" I went, "Ooh." And that's basically how Johnny got started.
That's the trajectory of your career.
Yep.
It's really interesting. Now, there's a lot of people, especially in Las Vegas now, there seems to be a lot of people jumping into broadcasting because this new internet radio, and myself included, the social media platform is unregulated. It's free.
Right.
Right? So a lot of people are jumping in. Do you feel it's a new frontier? Do you feel like this is where things are headed? Will there eventually be no more AM, no more FM, but only internet?
Well, if you're talking about AM, FM, you're talking about mostly people's cars. And there I see a value in it, where you're talking about traffic, updates that you don't normally get. And people at home, I don't know that people turn on an AM or an FM station at home because they don't want to hear commercials, so they'll just put in a CD, or they'll subscribe to a Pandora or something, or where they can control what they're listening to. But in the vehicle, I see that's still going to be viable.
And then the question is, will enough people still sustain radio? Now they're talking about self-driving cars.
Right.
So if you're in a self-driving car, me, myself, I would think I want to watch Netflix if I'm not having to watch the road, or I want to listen to my whatever music I want. I doubt that I want to hear a guy or a girl talking, "No, coming up next is and if
you act now,
yeah,
we'll give you 2 of them for free. But there's a second, you have to pay a separate, well, if it's free, why would you have to?
Except for the shipping and handling.
Exactly.
Which, costs us $29 each one.
But don't get me started on commercials. Yes, you already started. How many times, if you're watching TV, do you see a commercial that has no narration? It's just music. If you're not watching the TV, they've wasted their money on just playing that jingle. And I've paid attention to this. Like, if you see a 4 commercial break, at least one, possibly 2, have no narration at all. So to combat that, when I see that, I just look the other way. I don't even...
There's no sense in even watching.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I don't know if I'm a liberal or a conservative or a Democrat or a Republican, but I do know that I will call bullshit when I see it. And this is the thing. Cable television used to be without commercials. That was the whole point.
Right.
Was that you were willing to pay money, but you wouldn't get the commercials. Now what they've done is they've given us cable for more money, and all the commercials are still there.
Oh, but you could get Netflix on top of that, because they don't have commercials on Netflix, from what I understand.
Right.
I don't mind commercials. It gives you time to fix dinner, go to the bathroom.
Let me tell you, Johnny, there's nothing worse than trying to see a young, sexy teenage girl get killed in the woods by a homicidal maniac, and right as she's falling in her heels from running, we cut to Propecia. What? What?
Do you need...
What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened?
Do you need a catheter? I don't need a catheter.
I was just thinking I needed one right now.
Exactly. And they say, and discreetly, we'll deliver it to your door. Have you seen the box that the guy's delivering? Do I need that many catheters that it comes in a box this big?
I do not know. So Johnny Nevada became a personality. You became a radio personality, and now a television personality. Did you ever aspire to be an actor or a model or a dancer or an entertainment person in general?
I've stuck my toe in the water just a little bit, and I found, in high school or grade school, we did the plays and that kind of stuff. And I do voices, and they said, "How do you do that? How do you?" And I said, "Hey, it's just easy, Oh, I can talk like this guy here. I can talk like this guy here, And they said, "How do you do?" But I went to a show while I was still living here, and it was called the Dirty Joke Show. And it was at Hooters, and I had a couple of the guys on there, and a guy named Geechee Guy. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes, of course.
He was on America's Got Talent.
And he was the Guinness Book of World Records.
Exactly. Telling the most amount of jokes. And I was telling him jokes he had never heard. and when he was on America's Got Talent, Simon says, "You're the only person I've ever seen that actually sweats through their sport coat." And he lifted up his arm, and he had sweat stains through his sport coat.
Wow.
And anyway, I told them some jokes, And they said, hey, how would you like to be on the show? And they go, yeah, here's what we do. And the thing of the show was, it was 4 comedians that met after they did their acts in the alley. And they all just sat around on wooden crates and they told
Sure.
different jokes.
Sure.
I saw it for the first time. I thought it was hilarious. Then I saw it the second time, and I realized it was all scripted. They told the same jokes. They did the same act. If it was different jokes, that would be great.
Sure.
But it was the same thing, which, you know, hey, you got to. Anyway, they said, hey, would you like... Fine, fantastic. So they hooked me up with the microphone. They're in the back. And they said, okay, when this guy tells that joke, you're just going to go out there and just, hey, Johnny, how are you doing? Sit down. And you said, hey, you know, I heard this new joke. Tell the joke. And then get off stage. I said, fantastic. So I get out there and I say, hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, you know, I heard this great joke. And I tell the joke.
Wow.
And the joke had 2 different punchlines, too. And I said, or, and I tell the second punchline. I said, you know, that's it. You know, I like people to enjoy the show, not to lose their will to live.
Yeah.
So that's why I have lovely spokesmodels do the show. They do all the heavy lifting, and I do the behind the camera. I'm hardly ever. I was doing a show in San Diego. I don't know if you like hockey.
I don't dislike hockey.
I went to a hockey game with a friend of mine who was African American. They got there first, and I said to the usher, I said, I'm looking for my friend. He says, what's he look like? I say, he's a black guy. He said, black guy right over there.
Right.
But, seriously, the San Diego Gulls came into town, and they are a farm team for the Anaheim Ducks. I had shot some video of them 3-4 years ago, and it was pitiful. They were in like a high school arena. It was just awful. So now I hear they're coming back to the San Diego Sports Arena. I call them up and I say, hey, you know, I'd love to do a show, the San Diego Gulls radio show. And they were fantastic. We'd love to have you do that. I said, okay. So I line up sponsors. I line up the young spokeswoman. And 2 weeks beforehand, I call him up. I say, hey, we all set? He goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, you can come up to the practice and watch them practice. I go, yeah, that would be great. He says, we're up in Anaheim. And I go, I don't know if I want to go all the way up to Anaheim to shoot them, but let me know when you get to San Diego. And they said, okay. So 2 weeks later, they come to San Diego. I got the young lady with me in the studio, and I call them up on the speakerphone so she knows I'm not blowing smoke. I call them up, and they say, yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday's the media day. We're going to have the media out there, 8:30 in the morning, to skate and meet the players, the coach, and everything like that. I say, fantastic. I hang up the phone. I say, hey, Wednesday. She goes, that's great. She was English. Hey, that's great. So,
Right, that's her. That's what she sounded like. That's a
Exactly.
spot-on imitation of her, probably.
I know. So she would not agree to that. And I tell her, I said, you know, on the show, you know, could you bring it up a little bit? Oh, I don't know what you mean. I said, you know, she had no idea what I meant. You know,
Yeah.
just go over the top. But that's like asking us to imitate Americans.
Right.
Go.
We don't hear it.
So Friday night, they send me an email. Oh, we need credentials. We need your producer to send us a letter of introduction. I go, I am the producer. I told you that when I was on the phone. Oh, okay. So they send another one at this time. And whenever an email starts out with
Right,
at
not
this
good.
time, they said, we've had such an influx of interest in this that we just don't have room for anybody that's not ABC, CFES, Fox, radio, that can, internet people, no thanks.
Right.
I got the girl, I got the sponsors, I got the show. Well, screw you, pal.
Right.
So I just throw up a green screen in the studio, go online, get a picture of an empty stadium. That's where we are. And instead of at the San Diego Sports Arena, now it's the Talk of San Diego Sports Arena.
Nice.
And these radio guys that I know, I call them up, I say, hey, I need some intros. Hey, not a problem. So, hey, you're watching the Talk of San the San Diego Gulls radio show. And I have all the sponsors, and it's like we're there at the studio, at the stadium. That's for like the first segment. The next segment, it might be a football field. The next, we're driving.
Sure.
The next
sure.
is we're in Venice. It's whatever I want to put up on the green screen. So it's just ridiculous, you know. But you can go on YouTube and do a search for the San Diego Gulls radio show. And my stuff was getting more popular. If you did a YouTube search, you go on YouTube, Talk Show San Diego, #1.
Right.
The Gulls,
Right.
I was right there on the first page, past the Gulls' regular stuff. So that's what I was doing.
Hey man, it's the Ace Michael Show. It is Johnny Nevada. And Johnny, if we want to follow you, like you, stalk you, what do we need to do now to do that on the internet with you?
Well, you have a number of ways. I have a number of YouTube
Say
channels.
that again, I like that. You have a number
Number
of
of ways. I have a number of YouTube channels, and that's only because I lose the password for this
Okay.
one. Start a new one.
Of course.
So you could do a search on Johnny Nevada. You could do the Talk of San Diego, the Talk of Las Vegas. If you go on Facebook, the Talk of San Diego, Johnny Nevada, the Talk of Las Vegas. Anything that has to do with the show, type it in. You'll find me. We're on Pinterest. We're on StumbleUpon. We're on Spreaker. And this is all set up by my friend Misha that said, oh, we're on another one. I don't know, but we're there.
Awesome. It's Johnny Nevada on the show today. Hey, you guys, live the life you love. Love the life you live. Merry Christmas.
And if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.